Hello everyone and welcome back to Suzerain, where we are desperately trying to fix the economy in time for a potential upcoming election, so we can try and get a second term, because our first term has not gone all too well. The projected economic growth is very unstable and our government budget is still in pretty bad state. We're hoping to fix the economy, and that might buy us a second term. We've also made an alliance with Vagersland up here, but at a cost of relations with some of the people, especially the Agnolians. I believe they're unfriendly with us. But I'm hoping my alliance with Vagersland will deter Romberg from coming after us in a military conflict. We'll have to see. For now, though, we've got a political briefing. The morning sunlight streamed through the windows as Lucien and I entered the White Room. I sat down and Lucien remained standing. I'm afraid I won't be able to join you for meetings today, sir. The business around the Olivia Suno affair is taking up all my time at the moment. He dropped a thick folder in front of me. I was hoping to go over the day's agenda with you, but before your cabinet members begin arriving, but duty calls. He walked out. I took a look at the folder in front of me, then at the coffee cafe in the corner of the room. I walked over and poured myself a cup. I wondered when my new secretary would start work. Internal Affairs was first on the list of items. Lilius and Nia, along with their close staff, joined me at the table. Lilius cast an eye around the room. No new secretary yet? I hope this means Miss Suna's replacement is getting an extremely thorough background check. Needless to say, such an egregious breach of security should be met with harsh consequences, but you know that already. Shall we begin? Yes, please do. Mr. President, I want to congratulate you again on your historic accomplishment for Bloods and Swordland. Thank you for approving my plans for the revocation of the special zone. Nia averted her gaze. The internal security structure of Berger has already been dismantled. Part of the local forces will be integrated into the Swordish police force. The governor position has been abolished. In the next election, each town will elect its own mayor, as in the rest of Swordland. And now you, Miss Graf, has complete control over the region's security. As I should, Miss Morgana. I am the Minister of the Interior, after all. In any case, now that the governor is gone, it will simply prove to be a huge step for British rights in the region. Of course, the Unified Language Act is creating a lot of resentment within the British communities who want to choose their own language in education. This is certainly a point of contention. What are you trying to say, Miss Morgana? Nothing, Mr. President. I'm reporting on the current situation. We'll keep it brief, but I think that will be all for our internal affairs update. They gathered their documents and left. Simon came in shortly afterwards. Mr. President, where's the Vice President today? I don't know. Have you seen him? Not lately. Sim's expression remained unchanged as he sat down to face me. I just wanted to provide you with a few updates on the economy. You may have noticed the government budget is in need of a boost. My ministry is therefore working on a bill that will increase the tax on tobacco products from 10 to 30%. A similar bill has been drafted to introduce a 20% tax on alcohol. In addition to bringing in needed revenue, the new laws would curb excessive drinking and smoking in Swordland. Interesting initiatives, but would the income we receive be worth the harm to Swordish businesses? Good question. The tax wouldn't apply to products designed for export, which would mitigate the damage somewhat. Ordinarily, I'd advise against this kind of thing, but with our budget dipping into the red, any measure that would reverse our deficit is worth considering. Thankfully, tourism to Swordland is on the rise, so we can expect to see a healthy stream of income there. Our investment in cultural preservation is paying off, as it seems. That's good news. Thank you for telling me. I never quite understood why anyone wanted vacation in Swordland when Nesby was right there, but I suppose the country has a certain charm to it. There was a knock on the door and Gus Moon just strolled in. Mr. President, Simon. Some excitement around the palace lately, I've heard. That's how it is around here, a new adventure every day. You both know how revitalising the Greenery region has always been my pet project of sorts. Well, thanks to the efforts of my ministry and the funding allocated by the President, Grunei is looking stable these days. Stable, that's it? Gus shrugged. It's far from the massive surge in economic growth that I had hoped to see, but I still believe the area has a wealth of untapped potential. If we seize every possible opportunity to invest in Grunei now, we can still see positive results within our term. Well, keep at it. I know how much Grunei means to you. Not just to me, Mr. President, it's the breadbasket of the nation. I'll be on the lookout for further opportunities to invest in the region. In any case, I've heard that United Content is preparing to offer us a substantial agricultural aid package. I'm just suspicious, of course. Perhaps their funding can turn Grunei around where our efforts did not. I'm suspicious as well, because they probably will want something, but we'll have to see. First you accept contenant aid, next they spark an uprising against hard-working landowners like my family. I won't deny Grunai needs money, but there's got to be another way. The door to the White Room opened slowly, and David made his way in. Oh, hello, gentlemen. I'm early again, aren't I? Not to worry, Mr. Whiskey. We're just about wrapped things up. While we're both here, we may want to talk about the economic impact of our recent alliance. A wise idea, Mr. Hole. Our new partnership is not without its consequences. As you may recall, almost immediately after we sealed our alliance with Vegsland, Espia imposed strict tariffs on us in retaliation. The fallout won't impact our economy right away, but I do expect a significant hit before the end of the term. Fortunately, I believe any short-term economic harm imparted by these tariffs will be offset by the alliance's long-term benefits. I'm not going to break off the alliance, that doesn't fix any problem. I trust your wisdom, David. I'm not fully convinced the Vegsland partnership will pay off, although the aid offered from United Contan is a head start. Yes, and a sign of possible greater interest in the CSP. Simon grimaced. Hooray. Will you to your meeting, gentlemen? My regards to Mr. Vectern. Have a good afternoon, both of you. Simon and Gus rose from their seats and left the room. After the door closed, David regarded me for a second. His blue eyes seemed to see right through me. My ministry was notified by the Rumburgian infiltrator. This is a very delicate situation, Anton. I understand our relations with Rumburg were precarious enough before this. Please understand, prior to this revelation, our diplomatic efforts with Rumburg had been met with an equally diplomatic response. In fact, there are indications the kingdom would soon be ready to begin peace talks. An incident such as this might serve as a tipping point. Place too much blame on Rumburg and we might lose our chance of reconciliation. Ooh. We do need to bring them to justice, but I need to do it carefully. The quest for justice has blinded many a leader over the centuries. Don't let it cloud your eyes. A pair of loud, precise raps came to the door. That'll be General Lancia with a further update for the Vegsland Alliance. If you don't mind, I'll stay for that. Of course, David. It's always valuable having you around. Yosef brusquely entered and took a face seating me. He and David nodded at each other. Mr. President, Mr. Whiskey. For better or for worse, we are now in a military alliance with the Republic of Vegsland. He paused, as if he couldn't bring himself to go on. Finally, he continued. As I expected, the commies, Vegslandians, began asking for assistance practically as soon as the ink was dry. I'm not sure if Yosef is a fan of this. Sorden's recognition of Helgeland as Vagish territory has emboldened the Republic to begin planning its invasion of the island. Their war ministers informed me that it will commence in the coming months. I hope they're not planning anything too drastic, but they probably are. If they are, they're leaving us out of it. We are readying our forces for assistance with aerial reconnaissance and a naval blockade, but our troops will not set our foot on the island itself. I too expected that allying with Vagisland would necessitate our involvement in the Helgeland situation. I'm grateful that's as far as it goes. The Valgs had better not back down if it comes to war between Swordland and Rumburg, that's for sure. This alliance was not my first choice either, but I do trust Vagisland to provide assistance if we're in need of it. They could prove to be a formidable ally indeed. He glanced at Joseph. Is that at all, Mr. Lancia? I suggest we leave Preston Rain to it. It's been a long morning. All right, Mr. President. He and David stood up. Hope you tell those dumb Rumburgians a new one for installing a spy in your office. Have a good afternoon, gentlemen. My ministers left. David gently closed the door behind them even, allowing me a moment of quiet once more. I think that growth has changed once again. Let's have a look at some of the reports in the press. Horsewood experiences surge in activities related to the Arcasian Treaty Organisation, the ATO. The city has seen an increase in ATO-sponsored activities, including symposiums, public forums, networking sessions. The local populace is showing considerable interest in ATO's objectives and initiatives, reflecting the organisation's successful attempts to expand its influence within Wholesword. Swordish armed forces stand ready to aid Vagisland. Some football. Some more stuff to do with Bergia. Special zone, although I'm not sure the radicals like us, the illusion of progress. And finally, United Contana discovers Arcasian base in Polaris. Espia trade sections against Swordland, and Espia cancels meeting. I didn't really want to annoy Lesbia, but we didn't really have a choice once we allied with one. I suspect if we had allied with Lesbia, the reverse would have happened with Vagaslandia. Okay, let's deal with Livia Suno. It was the morning of Livia's trial, and hordes of reporters were gathered in front of the state courthouse. Peter, Lucian, and I stood by the entrance. Lucian had helped break down the news of my security's arrest. Now the media was beginning to question exactly how a Rumberg agent had been able to infiltrate the Maroon Palace. It was time for me to deliver an explanation. A podium with a bank of microphones awaited us on the courthouse steps. Peter looked uncertain. I had told him I would be doing all the talking today. Remember what we talked about, Mr. President? How could I forget? I was about to blame my best friend for a scandal that otherwise would shatter my administration. Peter hadn't said a word to me since I broke the news to him in my office. Together, we stepped behind the podium. The reporters clustered around us and started shouting questions. Thank you for coming. Let's try to be polite. Let's not go straight into accusing Rumberg straight away. As you're aware, Livia Suno, former secretary to the President of Sordan, is being tried for espionage. Rest assured, a security breach of this magnitude will never happen again. However, the fact remains that she never should have been allowed to infiltrate our administration in the first place. Do I say weakness or carelessness? Neither of which are going to be particularly positive. I don't want to say carelessness, so I'm going to say the weakness. The journalist gasped and murmured. Peter turned to me, his mouth hanging open. Oh, what do we say here? We're really hanging him out to dry. Mr. Vectern's recklessness, to say nothing, let's go for the swordish values. I'm not going to be trialed. I'm not going to go and arrest him. Therefore, the Vice President has tendered his resignation, effective immediately. The clamour of reporters was growing louder. Peter seemed to shrink behind the podium, his charisma failing him at last. That's it then. No going back from this. The reporters were becoming hard to ignore. One woman in the front row looked particularly insistent. Mr. Vectern. Ooh, I'll let Peter take a question. Can you give us a comment on your resignation? No. President Rain has just covered it. I'm a terrible vice president and a wise husband, and I'm a sad, old drunk. Are you implying that you and the covert agent posing as President Rain's secretary were engaged in intimate relations? Relations, yes. Intimate? I thought so at the time. Lucian interjected. Neither the President nor the Vice President will be taking any more questions. Thank you. The reporters were reluctantly dispersed. Lucian, Peter and I looked at each other for what seemed like an eternity. Finally, Peter lowered his eyes. I guess I'll go to the palace and start packing my things then. I'll come with you, Peter. Peter shook his head. I watched him descend the courthouse, steps to his car, alone. A shame about your friend, Mr. President, but it appears you'll make it out of this unscathed. Of course, there's now the matter of replacing both your secretary and your vice president. You're a little too old to be my secretary, Lucian. Very funny, sir. We walked back up the stairs to a courthouse to watch the rest of the trial. I like Lucian. I think he's a good egg. So, former Vice President, Mr. Petr Vectern. We're going to have to appoint someone new. Let's do the briefing on the women's rights situation first, because that might help us determine who we want to have as our Vice President going forward. I was sitting in my office and I looked at the clock. 2:26. It was almost time for my appointment with Chiara on women's rights. There was a knock on the door. Chiara entered the room with folders in hands. The door did not close behind her. Monica entered the room and sat next to Chiara. Mr. President. Anton, before we start, I just want to thank you for agreeing to this meeting. I've been dreaming about this ever since I volunteered with the Swordish League of Women. I can't believe the moment's finally here. I think both of you together could really make some changes to Swordland. I hope you're right. Chiara sat down on a chair and laid down the folder she was holding. First off, Mr. President, I want to thank you for pushing a decree on establishing gender equality in education. You know, this is something I've been trying to accomplish since my appointment as Minister. The situation in the public schools was disturbing for me. With that said, we still have a long way to go before Swedish women are able to enjoy the same rights and privileges as men, or even as the counterparts in Arcadia and United Quintana. We've been lagging behind this for decades, Anton. And this isn't only a moral issue. I've seen enough of the revolutions to understand the main driver of any change: money. In United Quintana, law dictates that women earn the same wages as men in their respective fields. My research shows that this led to a 15.5% increase in productivity. You can say this had a direct influence on their superpower status. Arcadia passed laws ensuring maternity leave rights, child daycare centres and tax deductions for working families. In turn, they experienced a 12.6% productivity boost and a flourishing economy. Both countries also have significantly lower infant mortality rates, a statistic I believe is directly linked to the improved status of women. Our administration has successfully managed to pull back Sudan from the brink of economic ruin. So I'm asking, why stop there? Why not improve our economy and modernise our society at the same time? It's only logical. Monica handed me one of the documents. The two of us talked it over, and these are the measures we believe are most urgently needed. Criminalising domestic violence, equal treatment in the workforce, and support for working mothers. Equal treatment in the workforce. That's an easy one. Right now, Scotland has one of the continent's largest pay gaps. We need legislation ensuring that a woman doing the same job as a man is paid the same wage. We would also introduce quotas to get more women into positions of power, in the assembly for instance, or on the board of corporations. Eventually. Now the pay gap is a far more pressing issue, as it would bring financial independence to countless lower-income women. Chiara, we never talked about this, but I always thought that with more women in power, higher status for all women would naturally follow. Women are starving because they don't make a living wage. That's a damn sight more important than your friend Janice being passed over for promotion. I do think, actually, people should be hired on merit, not because of their gender. And I also think that Chiara's in the right here, so I'm going to stay with... I don't see a problem with quotas, but attacking the pay gap is more urgent. I think that's the right one. Monica gritted her teeth. Thank you, Mr. President. Support for working mothers. It simply isn't fair that the women in the workforce are punished for having children. Remember what I told you about Janice, my friend who basically got fired for becoming pregnant? That would never happen to a man. Especially because a man can't get pregnant. Paid maternity leave and state-subsidised daycare centres could be key to keeping more mothers employed. It's true, having children never hindered my career prospects. It shouldn't hinder a woman either. Exactly. Moving on, criminalising domestic violence. I shouldn't have to tell you how crucial this is. It's utterly unbelievable that in this day and age, Swedish women are allowed to legally beat their wives. I agree. I'm happy we're on the same page. As incidences, especially high within Bluish communities, I'd also advocate for setting up a special domestic violence task force in collaboration with the Bluish women's rights organisations. Monica looked at her strangely. Are you sure this is something we ought to focus on? The Blues are different, they have their own rules. Monica, I'm surprised at you. We can't let women suffer under the patriarchy, no matter their ethnicity. I'm definitely not gonna... I don't want to anger the Bluish any further. Interfering in Bluish matters has landed enough trouble already. We can discuss the particulars once the law has passed. That covers all subjects. What are your thoughts so far? You make a good case for all these changes. If we can pull this off before the elections, the Reign administration will make history. Let's talk about how to proceed. I want to establish a commission for women's rights and Sweden with me as its head. Our goal should be passing and implementing a set of laws to solve the problems we just discussed. As the Commission's spokeswoman, my responsibility will be to make speeches and organise fundraisers. I'll be the face of this movement while Chiara handles the groundwork. If we can show that the First Lady is behind this movement, many women will feel encouraged. Chiara gestured at her outfit, especially those who aren't keen on pantsuits. The organisation's name will be Commission on the Status of Women. But it will be hard getting your laws past the Assembly. I know, but even a watered-down version would be better than nothing. Mr. President, I know we've had friction in the past, but this has nothing to do with the failed education reform. This is a completely separate topic and should be handled as such. One more thing to consider before making your decision that could help silence any of the public's lingering questions regarding your former Vice President and the Livia Suno affair. Monica lowered her voice. Anton, I'm not completely naive. I know what we're proposing would have its downsides. But every time I look at our daughter, I think about how I'd do anything to grant her a better future. I know you would too, just like you told me all those years ago. I hope you make the right decision. We both do. Carol was looking studiously at a scratch on my desk. She blinked and turned back to us. That's right, Mr. President. They rose from their seats expectantly, and I took a few moments to think. I will approve the creation of the Commission and support your bill in Assembly. That's all the excitement you can muster? You did it. We did it. Monica hugged Chiara, and she smiled uncomfortably. It's not over yet, Monica. The true battle is in the Assembly. We'll celebrate once that's over with. I'll start gathering names for the Commission tonight. She and Monica headed towards the door, and Monica paused before leaving. I love you, Anton. I'll see you at home. I could hear Monica and Chiara talking excitedly to each other as the door closed behind them. I looked over my window at the city of Holsword. It was a clear day outside. Hopefully that keeps us on a good run with Monica, and hopefully would actually help the citizens of Swordland in the future. We'll have to see. Selection of Vice President. It was here. The day I've been dreading since Peter's resignation. At the entrance to my office, my new secretary, Sylvia, took my hat and coat. She was a matronly woman in her 40s. She had a spotless background assisting various Maroon Palace officials. Replacing Livia had been easy, but replacing my Vice President would be difficult. Swordish law dictated that if a Vice President failed to complete his term, new candidates were to be put forward by members of the Cabinet. After much deliberation, the list had been narrowed down to 3. Lucian was the front-runner, followed by Gloria Torrey and Albin Clavin. It was up to me who decided to fill Peter's shoes. I wanted to chat with them one-on-one before making my decision. I had just begun to sit at my desk when I heard a knock at the door. Lucian entered and perched on the chair across from me. Sir? Alright, Lucian, you're one hell of a strategist, why should I make you a VP? It is precisely my capacity as strategist that I have evaluated the experience and capabilities of your potential vice presidents. Objectively, I am by far the most qualified candidate. I advise you not only to think about our long history together, but the many crises I have helped you shepherd you through. I won't say much beyond that. I believe my work speaks for itself. You're such a valuable strategist, I don't know if I can lose you in that capacity. As Vice President, my ability to serve you and this administration will only increase. Lucian got up from his chair. I expect you'll make the right decision. Short and to the point. He left my office, and in just a moment there was another knock, and Gloria Torrey came in. Mr. President. I must say I was not surprised at all when my name was put forward. So, Gloria, why should I pick you? To put it simply, what I bring to the table is years of experience. I've been a member of the Assembly for almost 20 years. I spent 7 years as Speaker. This alone speaks for itself. As you know, I'm also the spokesperson of the party, as well as the leader of the Conservative wing. You can see what I'm getting at. You become the Vice President, and I get the votes from the Conservatives. Precisely. That would allow us to pass bills far more easily, especially if these bills also align with my block's causes. I will think about it. I want you to know that I value order above everything else, Mr. President. Being the Speaker of the Assembly requires principles, nerves like steel, and determination to uphold proper conduct. You can expect to see the same in my Vice Presidency. You being a woman could also prove advantageous. Not just any woman, a strong woman who was able to protect order in the room full of unruly men for 7 years. Think about the message it would send. The first woman Vice President of Solland. No, the first woman Vice President in the whole continent. What support would you would lose amongst traditionalists? You would gain tenfold amongst Swordish women. There's much to gain from selecting me as Mr. President. I believe you would make the right choice. That will be all now for now. Thank you. I wish you a nice day, Mr. President. Gloria made her way out, and a minute later there was another knock on the door. This time it was Albin Cleven's turn. Greetings, Mr. President. It was a great honour to have been chosen as a candidate. Really terrific. I'll be straightforward. Why should I pick you? As you know, I represent the reformist wing of the party. What Swordland needs today is not only to catch up to our more modern neighbours, but to surpass them. I believe we can do this. No, I'm sure. However, this will only be possible if we set aside our differences and unite as one. That is the outlook I wish to bring to the position of Vice President, so that Swordland can excel and soar to new heights. What can you provide me with? Very well. The fact is, if I'm the Vice President, reformers and members of our party will be more likely to support you and your causes. This will smooth the passage of bills and help move our administration and our country forward in record time. That makes sense. And now what the country needs is more dynamic, youthful leadership. Look at you, President Rain. You became the youngest member of the Assembly and completely rejuvenated Swedish politics. I want to do the same. We only need to be able to take risks to make gains, and that is only possible with a forward-looking perspective. There, I've stated my case. I trust your judgment. Thank you. I will consider what you've said. Thank you, Mr. President. Albin got up and left. I leaned back in my chair, thinking about the pros and cons of each of the vice presidential candidates. I could almost hear Peter's voice in my head laughing at the absurdity of the situation. But of course, he wasn't here. Goodness me, who do I choose? Okay, let's deal with this first. The most influential women's rights NGO, the Swedish League of Women, is organising a massive fundraising campaign to raise awareness in Swedish society and has reached out to us personally for private donations. We have one personal wealth, let's use it. Especially as we've just kind of said yes to a new commission on women's rights. I think it's a good thing for the President to be seen to be supporting that as best possible. The Vice President position remains vacant after the events of the scandal. It has to be filled by a capable person that the administration and party can trust. Several options have been laid out by the candidate, and we need to make a decision immediately. So, here's my thinking. Albin Clavin is being scratched off the list. I'm just not sure he's the right pick. He might be a bit too reformist, and he doesn't seem like that strong of a political operator or strategist, like Lucian or Gloria are. Gloria has a very strong case going for her. She's been speaking for a very long time. She is a lady. She's a woman. And she is also the leader of the conservative part of my party, and that is important to get on side. Lucian, on the other hand, is a very, very adept strategist and has seen me through many issues and has always been, I think, a straight talker. Would he be better as a vice president? That I'm not sure. If I pick Gloria, I'm going to be seen to be going after the support of the right-wing part of my party. I think probably it'll be Lucian. Let's hope I don't regret my decision. Lucian will be picked as VP. What consequences is that going to have going forward? Anything in the news? President innocent in spy scandal. Rain makes donation to Swedish League of Women. It's not only a generous gesture, it marked the first time President Solund acknowledged and personally supported the women's rights struggle. Reached for comment, a spokesman from the League expressed gratitude to Rain while emphasising that new policies will help the women's much more than finances. Anton Rain donates to support women. Will policies follow? Yes, hopefully. Hopefully. Start of the day. Lucian and I were on my way to the office. I was holding a mug of coffee in one hand and a fold of various documents in the other. As we turned a corner, Lucian spoke. The Anstraf anniversary is coming up soon, the most important day for the British populace. Watani Ashraf is one of their symbols, as you know. Your presence at this event will show you your desire for more unified Scotland. We'll reap the benefits if you decide to go, I'm sure. Why should I attend a Bluedish anniversary? It will send a clear message to the Bluedish. Your president is with you. This would alleviate tensions. We rounded another corner to reach the last corridor leading to my office. Lucian suddenly stopped in front of one of the doors. The plaque that once said Vice President Petr Vectern had been removed. The door was halfway open. I could see a few workers moving boxes around. One of them saw us, bowed his head, and changed the name tag on the door to Vice President Lucian Gallade. Another handyman dropped a heavy-looking box on the door, and a crunching sound was heard from within. Be careful with that. Mr. President, this move requires my personal attention. We shall discuss the Anstraf matter later. It's good to have you as my Vice President, Lucian. You've been a good friend. I'm glad to have you as my president, sir. I entered my office and asked Sylvia for a second cup of coffee to wake me up. Another long day was waiting for me. Okay. That looks like a big issue there. Mediation of a dispute in the gendarmerie. Radical journalist killed en route to interview. And a gendarmerie police issue. Interesting. Lucien Gallet rises to the task. Following the unforeseen departure of Petr Vectern, as expected, President Rain has picked Lucien Gallet as his new vice president. Mr. Gallet is an enigmatic figure amongst the USP members. He is meant to be highly efficient and a task-orientated individual that takes pride in honesty. As part of the Rain campaign and as his chief strategist, he has years of experience working with President Rain. Mr. Gallet will begin serving his post immediately. It is official. Lucien Gallet is the new vice president of the Swordland. Looking at this pick objectively, I catch myself thinking that honestly we all saw this coming. The man was working alongside President Rain for years. He is somewhat of a shadowy figure, as not much is known about his past, apart from his successes to rise up to this point. Regardless of his frame track record, we can certainly say that Mr. Gallet would be a much better vice president than Petr Vectern. Goodness me. Goodness me. I think we'll leave things off there. Slightly shorter episode today, but certainly a very significant one with talking about women's rights and also a new vice president. I think we'll leave this issue with the gendarmerie for next time, because that seems like it could be a whole new political crisis in the making. We'll have to see. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. More to come soon indeed. Take care. Bye-bye.